Hi everybody, welcome to a rather gorgeous autumn day here on Hogwarts Legacy, and I wanted to do a quick video about how to get better at combat. You know, what are the key things you need to learn in combat. Now, we're not going to do any combat missions here, just want to talk about some stuff. And the most important thing when it comes to combat in Hogwarts Legacy is remembering it's not all about the spells. What's just as important are the combat plants and the potions as well. They are so important, especially the potions. So I'm a little bit low on some stuff here, and as you can see, you know, I've unlocked the ability to have these potions as well. So let's talk about the plants first. So the good old mandrake. Now, you'll unlock these as you play the game. I won't give away when you get them, but you get the mandrake, and you can pop him out, and he damages enemies with screeching. Then you get the Chinese chomping cabbage, and what you do with this is when you're going into combat, you just lob a couple of these out, and they'll jump around and attack enemies. And then you get the really good venomous tentacular. And what you do with this baby is you kind of fire it out, and it grows and it spits acid at your enemies. So they're kind of doing damage to your enemies while you're running around with your spells, sort of casting them. Now, potions, so important. Now, the only potions I've got in my inventory at the moment, so I need to go and brew some more, buy some, is the Edorus potion. Now, the Edorus potion is incredibly important. What this does is this gives you defense, basically by covering you in a rocky skin, and there's an upgrade to it so that it makes you basically invulnerable for about 20 seconds. And when you're fighting a big battle with lots of enemies, the fact that you can be invulnerable means so much, especially in the big boss battles. And then you have things like Maxima, where you get better spell damage. Focus reduces your cooldowns. Thunderbrew is good. This is an area of effect one. It's quite expensive to buy and quite difficult to brew, but when you can, you call that in, and it'll call down thunder and lightning around your position to damage your enemies. And then you've got the invisibility potion, so you can sort of they can kind of lose lock on you, sort of. But I would highly recommend, as a minimum, the Edorus potion is the one you want to have a few of, because you can pop that and be invulnerable. And then the plants, so important. Do not underestimate how powerful these plants are. So the other thing as well is, before we get on to the actual talking about spells, is invisibility. You know, you don't have to go in guns blazing all the time in combat. You can go invisible, creep into an enemy camp, and take them out one at a time by creeping behind them and taking them out that way. Some of the more powerful ones you can't, but that is highly recommended to do. So that's that side of it. The next thing is when you unlock the ability to have different spell sets. That way you can then group different spells together, so that when you're in combat, you can quickly flick between them, so that any spells that are on a cooldown you can avoid and go to something else. Also, what's very important is when you're coming up against certain enemies and they have certain shields, in order to break those shields you need to use spells of the same colour. So for example, if you look in the bottom right hand corner, if say someone had a yellow shield, I could use my B spell to break that, and if they had a purple shield, I could use the spell that's on my X button there, and that will break them up that way. And obviously once a shield is broken, you can do lots more damage to people as well. Always remember that if you want to, you can press R, that your right stick, if you click that in, that will then lock onto an enemy, so you can keep on attacking the same enemy. So if there's a big bunch of enemies, you can make sure you concentrate your fire on the most important one, who's going to be doing the most damage. And of course, finally, the things you need to really concentrate on as well is your ability to dodge and your ability to block. So remember, as soon as you see that red marker around your head, on console you hit, on Xbox it is the B button, I'm not sure, I think it's circle on PlayStation, so you roll out of the way because you cannot block it, and then when it goes yellow, get your shield up so that you can block it, and if you hold, that will then fire it back, a Confuso I think it is, on one of the enemies to allow you to stop getting damage from them and to damage them loads. So there we go, that's kind of some of the key concepts to get better at combat in Hogwarts Legacy. Just remember, plants and potions are just as important as unlocking lots of different spells. And once you realise that, when you run into a combat situation, you'll run in, you'll throw out a couple of chomping cabbages, you'll throw out the acid plant, you'll pop an Eridus so you're invulnerable, and then you'll zoom in and start whacking them with all your spells as well. So hopefully that gives you some ideas. Hopefully that will spur you on to take on some of the more difficult situations. And let's say, always remember, sometimes stealth is the best option.